The house was full before the sun went down. Cars lined the street, voices rose through open windows, and warm light spilled onto the porch. Inside, the family moved like a single body, passing plates, adjusting chairs, calling out names. It was a celebration meant to honor years of shared history. For Ion, it felt like stepping into a place that no longer belonged to him, though he did not yet know why. He stood near the wall, fingers wrapped around a glass he had barely touched. The sound of laughter felt distant, like it came from another room entirely. He watched his relatives with calm eyes, but his chest stayed tight. Something was wrong. He could feel it in the way people paused when he walked by, in the way conversations softened and then restarted after he passed. Smiles reached mouths but not eyes. Ion's Uncle Rashid moved through the crowd with ease. He greeted guests, clapped shoulders, laughed loudly. He looked confident, settled, like a man who knew his place in the world. For years, Ion had trusted him more than anyone. After Ion's father died, Rashid had taken charge of everything. He handled papers, meetings, decisions. He said it was temporary. He said it was for protection. Ion believed him because he needed to. The music lowered as Ion's grandfather cleared his throat. He stood at the head of the room, one hand resting on his cane, the other holding a glass. Age had bent his back, but not his voice. When he spoke, people listened. The family gathered closer, forming a loose circle. The moment felt heavy, though no one could explain why. The old man smiled, but his eyes were serious. He spoke about family, about truth, about how secrets grow sharp when hidden too long. His words were careful, chosen with effort. Ion felt his stomach tighten. He had the sudden urge to leave, but his feet stayed still. Then the truth came out. The grandfather spoke of the family business, the one Ion believed would be his someday. The business his father built with patience and pride. The one Ion studied for, prepared for, dreamed about. The old man said the ownership had changed years ago. Not recently, not by accident. It had been transferred quietly, legally, without Ion's knowledge. The name that followed cut through the room. Rashid Ion felt the world narrow. The sound faded, the faces blurred. He heard his own breath, fast and shallow. His uncle did not look surprised. He did not look ashamed. He looked prepared. The grandfather explained that Rashid had taken control after Ion's father passed. A way he said Rashid believed it was necessary. He said the decision was made to keep things stable. He said everyone else had agreed at the time. No one spoke. No one argued. Ion looked around the room. His aunt stared at the floor. His cousins avoided his eyes. People he loved, people who watched him grow, had known this truth and chosen silence. The betrayal did not come from one man. It came from many. Rashid finally spoke. His voice was calm, almost gentle. He said Ion was young then. He said the business was fragile. Said he had to act fast. He said he meant no harm. Each word landed like a stone. Ion wanted to speak, but nothing came out. His thoughts raced, but his body felt frozen. Memories rushed in. Late nights studying, conversations with his father about the future, promises made in quiet moments. All of it felt like a story told to someone else. The room stayed silent. No one clapped, no one moved. The celebration was over, though no one said it out loud. Ion set his glass down with shaking hands. He walked toward the door, every step heavy. He could feel eyes on his back, but no one stopped him. Outside, the air was cool and sharp. He took a deep breath, then another, trying to steady himself. His father's face filled his mind. The way he smiled when talking about the business. The way he trusted Rashid. The way he believed family would always protect its own. That belief now felt like a lie passed down without question. Ion walked down the street without a plan. His thoughts moved fast, one after another, sharp and loud. Anger rose, but beneath it was something worse, a sense of being small, being played. losing years of his life to a decision he never agreed to. He stopped under a streetlight and leaned against a fence. The night was quiet. He realized then that nothing would ever be the same. The life he imagined had been taken from him long ago, while he was still trusting, still learning, still grieving his father. Back at the house, the party tried to continue. Music played again, softer this time. People spoke in low voices. Rashid stood alone near the table, his face tight. He told himself he had done the right thing. He told himself Ayan would understand someday. But doubt crept in, unwelcome and persistent. Ayan did not return that night. He went home and sat in the dark. He replayed every moment with Rashid, every lesson, every kind word. He searched for signs he missed. There were many, now clear. In hindsight, control disguised as care, delay disguised as patience. Sleep did not come easily. When it did, it brought restless dreams filled with unfinished conversations and locked doors. By morning, something inside Ayan had changed. The shock faded, replaced by focus. He no longer asked why, he asked how. How could Rashid justify this? How could the family accept it? How could he take back what was stolen without losing himself? The questions did not slow him down. They pushed him forward. As the sun rose, Ayan stood by the window and made a quiet promise. He would not forget this night. He would not let the truth fade into another family story told in whispers. The celebration had revealed more than a secret. It had revealed who stood where when it mattered. And from that moment on, Ayan's life moved toward a single point where trust, anger, and choice would collide. Ayan woke before dawn every day after the party. Sleep came in short pieces, broken by thoughts that refused to slow. His mind stayed sharp, alert, replaying moments and building new ones. He moved through his days with quiet purpose, speaking less, watching more. People noticed the change. They did not ask about it. He began with facts, not anger, not stories, just truth. He searched old files, emails, and records his father once kept in careful order. Boxes that had not been opened in years came down from shelves. Papers smelled of dust and time. Each document pulled him deeper into the past, into choices made without him. The transfer of ownership was real. It was clean. It was planned. Rashid had not acted in panic. He had acted with patience. That truth burned. Ayan visited the office building where the business still operated under the same name. The sign. Outside had not changed. Inside, everything felt smaller. People greeted him politely, some with guilt, some with fear. They knew who he was. They knew what had been done. Their silence told him enough. Rashid was not there that day. Ayan almost preferred it that way. Walking through the halls alone, he imagined what it would be like to take it all back, to sit in the main office, to sign papers with his own name at the bottom. The image gave him a sharp sense of satisfaction, quick and bright. Then it faded, leaving a hollow space behind. At night, Ayan wrote plans in a notebook he kept hidden. Legal paths, public exposure, family meetings. Each option carried weight. Each came with damage. He thought of his cousins younger than him, unaware of the tension forming around them. He thought of his grandfather, old and tired, who had finally spoken because time was running out. Revenge would not land on Rashid alone. Still, the anger did not leave. Rashid reached out after a week. A message first. .com words. An offer to talk. Ayan ignored it. Rashid tried again, this time with a call. Ayan let it ring. The third attempt came in person. Rashid showed up at Ayan's door one evening, standing straight, hands folded like a man prepared to explain himself. Ayan let him in. The air between them felt tight, crowded with things unsaid. They sat across from each other. Rashid spoke first. He said he never meant to hurt Ayan. He said the business was failing when Ayan's father died. He said debt was closing in. He said someone had to act fast. He said he took the burden so Ayan could finish his studies without pressure. Ayan listened without interrupting. Rashid's voice was steady, but his eyes gave him away. There was fear there, not of Ayan, but of being judged too late. When Rashid finished, Ayan asked one question. Why didn't you tell me? Rashid looked down. He said he planned to. He said the right time never came. He said the business grew under his control and giving it back became harder with every success. The truth slipped out then. Not protection, possession. Ayan felt the last piece fall into place. Rashid left that night without resolution. He believed he had explained enough. He believed Ayan would calm down. He did not see the line Ayan had crossed inside himself. Days turned into weeks. Ayan moved carefully, quietly. He met with a lawyer, then another. He learned what could be done and what could not. The law offered options, but none without cost. A public fight would drag the family into open conflict. A private settlement would protect names, but leave scars behind closed doors. Every path demanded a choice. Ayan watched Rashid from a distance. He saw how his uncle carried on as if nothing had changed. Meetings, deals, smiles. The confidence was still there, but thinner now. Rashid checked his phone more often. He avoided certain places. He knew the ground beneath him was no longer solid. That knowledge fed Ayan's anger. It also fed his doubt. Late one night, Ayan sat alone and imagined the moment of revenge. He pictured Rashid standing exposed, the truth spoken aloud, respect stripped away. He imagined the shock on faces that once turned from him. For a moment, it felt right, powerful. Then another image followed, his father's voice, calm and steady, asking what victory really meant. Ayan closed the notebook. The conflict inside him grew louder. Revenge promised relief, but it asked him to become someone ruled by the same hunger that drove Rashid. Control, fear, justification. The thought made his chest tighten. Meanwhile, Rashid wrestled with his own thoughts. He told himself he had earned everything. He told himself the family was better off because of him. Yet at night the silence pressed in. He remembered Ayan as a boy, following him through the office, asking questions, full of trust. That memory no longer brought pride. It brought discomfort he could not shake. The family felt the tension without words. Gatherings became rare. Conversations stayed shallow. The secret, once revealed, poisoned every shared moment. People chose sides without speaking them aloud. Ayan stood in the middle of it all, pulled in opposite directions. He wanted justice. He wanted peace. He could not have both without sacrifice. The plan took shape slowly, not as an act of rage, but as a test. He would give Rashid one chance to face the truth fully, not privately, not quietly. Fully, the decision did not ease his anger, but it gave it direction. As Ayan prepared for the moment ahead, he understood something important. Revenge was not a single act. It was a road, and once taken, it did not turn back easily. The closer he got to the end of that road, the heavier his steps felt. The meeting was set for a quiet morning. No music, no celebration, just a clean room with white walls and a long table. Ayan arrived early. He sat alone and watched the sunlight move across the floor. His hands were steady, but his chest felt tight. This was the end of the road he had been walking since the night of the party. Rashid arrived with his lawyer. He looked calm on the surface, but his eyes moved too much. Smiled when he saw Ayan, the same practiced smile he used in meetings. It did not reach his eyes this time. The lawyer placed folders on the table. Papers waited to be signed. Truth waited to be spoken. Ayan stood when Rashid entered. He did not raise his voice. He did not accuse. He spoke clearly, each word chosen with care. He said he knew everything now. He said the silence was over. He said this meeting would decide what happened next. Rashid leaned back and folded his arms. He said he was ready to settle things. He said they could reach an agreement quietly. He said the family did not need more pain. His words sounded reasonable. They always had. Ion listened. Then he pushed a folder across the table. Inside were copies of documents, timelines, signatures, and proof of decisions made without consent. Nothing dramatic, nothing exaggerated, just facts. Rashid's face tightened as he turned each page. The lawyer beside him stopped taking notes. Ion said he had two choices. The first was simple. Rashid could admit the truth to the family, step back from control, and allow a fair structure to be rebuilt. No public damage, no legal fight, just accountability. The second choice was slower and louder. Courts, records, time. A fight that would expose everything and take years to heal if it ever did. The room stayed quiet. Rashid spoke slowly. He said Ion was forcing his hand. He said he had built something strong. He said stepping away would erase years of work. His voice carried frustration now, not calm. He said Ion did not understand the pressure of leadership. Ion felt the familiar pull of anger rise. This was the moment he had imagined so many times. The chance to strike, to push harder, to watch Rashid lose control. He paused. In that pause, Ion saw himself clearly. Not as a victim, not as a judge, but as a man choosing who he would become next. He realized revenge would feel powerful for a moment, then fade. What remained would be damage he could not undo. Ion said he did understand pressure. He said he understood fear. He said that was why he refused to let fear decide his future. Rashid looked at him then, truly looked. The confidence he wore slipped. For the first time, he seemed unsure. Lawyer cleared his throat and asked for time to speak privately. Rashid nodded. They stepped outside. Ion stayed seated, alone again, heart beating fast. He did not know how this would end. He only knew he would accept the outcome he chose. When Rashid returned, his shoulders were lower. He sat down slowly. He said he would agree to the first option. His voice was quieter now. He said he would speak to the family. He said he would share control and accept oversight. He did not apologize, not fully. But he did not argue either. The papers were signed. The family meeting happened a week later. Everyone gathered again, this time without food or music. The mood was heavy, but honest. Rashid spoke. He admitted what he had done. He said he believed he was protecting the family. He said he had been wrong to keep the truth hidden. His words were careful, but they were enough. Some people cried, some stayed silent. Trust did not return in that room, but something else did. Clara Dion spoke last. He did not attack. He did not shame. He said the past could not be changed, but the future could be shaped by better choices. He said accountability mattered more than punishment. He said he wanted to move forward without carrying hate. Not everyone agreed. Some thought Rashid deserved more consequences. Others believed Ion was too soft. Ion accepted that. He had not made the choice for approval. In the weeks that followed, change came slowly. Meetings were shared. Decisions were discussed. Ion stepped into responsibility with care, not hunger. He learned the weight of leadership his father once carried. It was heavier than he imagined. Rashid stepped back, present but quieter. The power he once held alone was now divided. He struggled with it. Some days he resented Ion. Other days, he seemed relieved. He no longer carried the lie by himself. Ion noticed the difference inside himself. The anger that once kept him awake lost its grip. It did not disappear, but it no longer controlled him. He slept better. He breathed easier. He felt present in his own life again. One evening, Ion visited his father's grave. He stood in silence as the sky darkened. He spoke softly, not to explain his choice, but to acknowledge it. He did not know if he had chosen perfectly. He only knew he had chosen honestly. The desire for revenge had promised strength. What it truly offered was a chain, Letting it go did not make Ion weak. It made him free. The family never returned to what it was before. Some breaks cannot be repaired, but something stronger grew in its place. A culture of truth, of speaking before silence could rot trust again. Ion understood then that revenge and justice are not the same. Revenge looks backward, demanding payment. Justice looks forward, demanding responsibility. The secret revealed at the party had changed his life. Not because of what was taken from him, but because of what he refused to become. And that choice stayed with him long after the silence was gone.